No notch, no hole punch display, no pop-up mechanism, and yet a stunning full screen display. But is this phone, as a whole, worth its $500-ish asking price? This is Bailey Stein with Android Authority, and you're watching our video review of the Meizu 16S. On the outside, the 16S isn't much different from its predecessor, the 16th. Overall, the design is quite minimalistic. Our carbon black model is stealthy, but you can certainly spice things up with the other color options. The phone has a slim profile at 7.6mm and 165 grams. The 16S features an in-display fingerprint reader, which works quite well. It is optical though, meaning it shines light up as you scan your finger, which can be kinda annoying at night. If you'd rather, the 16S also supports Face Unlock, and it's really quick, easily rivaling the fingerprint reader's speed. As for what's missing here, well, first off, the 3.5mm headphone jack. To be fair, Meizu makes a strong argument that this was necessary in order to fit a larger battery. The 16S is also missing water resistance and wireless charging, the latter of which makes me even more frustrated with the glass back, as the coating they're using makes the phone unbelievably slippery. I unintentionally conducted a dozen or so drop tests during the few weeks I used the 16S, and think one of them is to blame for the deep scratch that developed on my unit's front display. Quite frankly, I think you'd have to be a little crazy to use this phone without a case. As for the front display, it's a 6.2-inch 1080p AMOLED panel. The phone still fits comfortably in the hand though, thanks to its curved corners and a 91.53% screen-to-body ratio. As for the display quality, Samsung actually custom made this panel for Meizu, and the colors are expectedly rich with pretty good sunlight readability too. Meizu really hit a home run in this category. Performance is also top-notch and is undoubtedly on par with other flagship-level smartphones. Meizu has been talking a lot about their OneMind 3.0 AI engine recently, which is basically just a bunch of software tweaks designed to make the phone feel faster. It's hard to objectively test this, but I can say the 16S consistently launched my favorite apps quickly and it never seemed to miss a beat overall. With this iteration, Meizu increased the battery size significantly from 3000 to 3600 mAh. Overall, battery life is great, but not exceptional. I was consistently able to get a full day of moderate to heavy use with 5 to 6 hours of screen on time. My biggest issue here is with the software's aggressive smart background per app setting. For basically every single app I wanted to receive notifications from, I had to go in and manually disable this, which quickly became annoying. The global variant of the Meizu 16S should work well with most non-Chinese LTE networks, particularly in Europe. However, I wouldn't recommend it for use in the US. While I stayed connected to T-Mobile's Band 4 LTE for most of my review period, my unit would occasionally drop down to 2G or just lose service entirely. Moving on to the cameras, the 16S features two on the back. The primary is 48 megapixel f1.7 with OIS, and the secondary is 20 megapixel f2.6. When lighting is good, these cameras are good. The 16S produces images with a pleasant color profile, one that's not too flat, but not too unnaturally saturated either. Basically, you get accurate images with colors with just the right amount of punch. Dynamic range is also pretty good. I did, however, notice the 16S struggle with processing things like bright red colors. In a few cases, it also didn't correct for white balance as much as I would have liked. Finally, while the software portrait mode has gotten better, it can still be hit or miss. Meizu says the secondary sensor enables 3 times lossless zoom, but I'm going to push back on that claim. Photos shot at 3 times zoom simply aren't as good. Almost always, they come out over-sharpened and with dull colors. This quality discrepancy is even more noticeable in low light. Overall, low light photos are generally decent. The 16S is able to maintain most colors but does struggle with detail. There also tends to be a fair bit of noise. But that's when shooting in the standard mode. Meizu actually just introduced a super night mode, which performs significantly better by combining up to 17 frames into a single image. Compared to Google's night sight on the Pixel 3 XL, Meizu's Super Night actually seems to have an advantage when a moderate amount of light is available. Google's night sight tends to really bump up the shadows at the expense of blowing out the highlights, whereas Meizu's Super Night is more modest by bumping up the shadows but keeping the details in the highlights. Meizu says it will ship the 16S with Flyme 7.3 over Android 9.0. In the past, I've really enjoyed using Flyme for its clean design, making it one of the best among Chinese manufacturers. And while I still like the design here, I think it's time for Meizu to refresh it a bit. As for extra features, I really like the quick app launcher on the home screen. The navigation options are also really good. I think Google should just straight up copy them for Android Q actually. But you better not care about future versions of Android if you decide to go with the 16S, as there's like a 0% chance that it ever gets updated. And to make matters worse, Meizu has sparingly provided global users with the same Flyme skin updates that they frequently release for their Chinese users. And that's really unfortunate because when we made this video, the 16S's software was riddled with bugs. Presumably, Meizu will be announcing pricing and availability for global markets soon. For reference, the Meizu 16S costs 3,200 yuan, or about $462 for the 6 128GB model, and 3,500 yuan, or about $506 for the 8 128GB model in China. All things considered, the Meizu 16S has the potential to be a great choice if Meizu can get their software act together. But as it stands, it feels like Meizu has quite frankly neglected their global users. That, combined with strong competition, makes the 16S a tough sell. Be sure to check out our full written review for more details, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, and remember, we are your source for all things Android.